Hello again, friends, and welcome to another episode of If This Car Could Talk. Today we're bringing you a detailed look at what I believe is one of the most handsome Chrysler products from the first half of the 1960s. It's the 1964 Plymouth B-Body, the Savoy, the Belvedere, the Fury, and the Sport Fury. I guess I love the styling of these cars because one of my neighbors near my childhood home had a 64 Fury 4-door hardtop. That body style mesmerized me as a kid because every other 4-door I'd seen until then was a sedan. What an elegant side profile this car had with all the windows down. Then in high school, one of my friends inherited his grandmother's Belvedere 2-door hardtop. I always thought the design of that car was breathtakingly elegant. In fact, all the B-Body cars from both Dodge and Plymouth looked classic and contemporary all at the same time, and they still do today. So let's talk about the development of the 1964 Plymouth B-Body because it's quite interesting. In 1962, Chrysler introduced the B-Body platform for both the Dodge and Plymouth divisions. It's arguably one of the most popular and versatile designs of all time. It lasted until 1979 and accounted for millions of sales during those 18 years. This year, these cars were now the biggest a buyer could get after Chrysler opted to discontinue the DeSoto and phase out all of their Virgil Exner-designed full-size cars after the 1961 model year. Top-tier Chrysler would be the division to build and sell the biggest cars with the Newport, the New Yorker, and the 300 letter cars until 1965. A still separate division showcasing the utmost in luxury and sophistication, called Imperial, offered models in the Custom, the Crown, and the LeBaron series in several body styles, including a limousine. Like General Motors and Ford, Chrysler offered cars for all needs in every imaginable size, style, and price range. During that time, Chrysler Corporation began to restyle and enlarge the B-Body models, which dramatically improved sales in both 1963 and 64. Of the 3 years, a newly designed slanted roofline for the 64 hardtops was the catalyst for the best sales numbers. Engine choices for the 2 last years remained unchanged, including the second-year availability of the Stage 3 Max Wedge dual-quad cross-ram intake, along with the newest Hemi engine, the 426, which was strictly a race-only engine until it debuted in regular production passenger cars in 1966. Both engines were really not streetable, but they certainly were right at home on quarter-mile tracks all across North America. There were 5 separate engines available in 64 for the B-Body Plymouth. First was the 225 cubic inch inline 6 with a single throat carburetor producing 145 horsepower. This engine was recognized as the mobile economy run champion in its class for several years, and it had a reputation as a very solid and reliable power plant. The 318 two-barrel was the standard V8 in the station wagon models, as well as the Belvedere, the Fury, and the Sport Fury models. It was also a mobile economy run winner for all the same reasons. It produced a very consistent 230 horsepower on regular gas. The Commando 361 two-barrel also used regular fuel and was rated at 265 horsepower. Next up in the Commando line was the 383 4-barrel high-compression engine that was good for 330 horsepower, although it required premium fuel. The top dog engine this year for regular production street-duty cars was the Commando 426 4-barrel, rated at 365 horsepower, and it also required premium fuel. All 3 Commando engines had a beautifully styled hood ornament depicting the cubic inch displacement number in its center, rather than the more common fender-mounted engine callouts used by most other companies at the time. Dodge and Plymouth supplied both families and performance enthusiasts with some great cars from 1962 to 64. It's interesting to note that the Dodge division was celebrating its golden anniversary in 1964. John and Horace Dodge had started a successful company in 1900, supplying mostly Ford Motor Company with engines, frames, assorted body panels, and more. In 1914, they decided to start their own company when they marketed and sold their own Model 30. A few years later, both men had passed on and the investment firm of Dillon, Reed and Company bought the business. In 1928, the investment firm sold the company to Walter P. Chrysler for $170 million, the equivalent today of over $3.2 billion. Their 64 B-body models included the base 330, the mid-level 440, and the top-tier Polara in many different bodies and series, with a late-year addition being the 500 Sport model, available only as a two-door hardtop or a convertible. This series was produced to increase sales in the latter part of the 64 model year and for customers who wanted a sporty car like the Sport Fury but in Dodge livery. For 1964, Plymouth offered the B-body cars in 17 different models, with 7 unique body styles, 13 different optional colors, many of which could be paired to create striking two-tone color schemes, 5 different engines from the inline 6 to the Commando 426, 3 different transmissions, and countless options, allowing a 1964 full-size Plymouth buyer an opportunity to create their own version of the perfect car, one that suited their needs and tastes perfectly. All cars could be had with any of the huge list of optional convenience and safety features, but the wagons in all 3 series also had an additional unique option list of things like a roof-mounted luggage rack, a power tailgate window, a spare tire lock, assist handles, and a pair of rear windscreens to keep the back glass clean. All wagons also featured a proprietary material called linoleum, a combination of vinyl and linoleum on the floor in the cargo area. All could only be had with an all-vinyl interior as standard fare. The ad campaign slogan this year was "Get up and go Plymouth," and people did, to the tune of nearly 300,000 cars in all series. All cars rode on a 116-inch wheelbase with a unibody chassis with the ingenious torsion bar front suspension and a live rear axle. All cars had drum brakes on all 4 corners, along with 14 by 5-inch steel wheels, with an available power assist option for this system. Finally, all passenger cars had a 20-gallon fuel tank, while the wagons had a capacity of 21.5 gallons. The cars had a trunk capacity of 25.3 cubic feet, giving most people plenty of space to haul whatever they needed to. Solex glass was also a new innovation in the industry, and it was basically glass that had non-glare properties as well as the ability to keep the interior cooler. One fact that astounded me was that Chrysler offered these cars with a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty, when 224 was the industry standard at the time, and sometimes even less. So here are the 4 series, from the base model cars to the top-of-the-line offerings for the 1964 Plymouth. Let us know in the comments which model and body style is your favorite and why. Plymouth Savoy. Available for people who wanted basic, simple transportation with no frills, or for fleet buyers like police departments or taxi cab companies. These cars are only available as a 2 or a 4-door sedan, or as a 6 or 9-passenger station wagon. They're easy to identify at a glance because they have no chrome trimmer on the windows and virtually no other chrome on the exterior. The sedans only had the 225 inline 6 available, while the wagons were standard with a 318 two-barrel. All had 3-speed column-mounted manual transmissions. Interior colors were limited to medium blue, medium red, and tan. The sedans all had vinyl and fabric interiors, while both of the wagons had an all-vinyl upholstery, probably because wagons are generally relegated to family duty, most with smaller kids prone to spills and other mishaps. The Savoy didn't have rear armrests available. Here are the production numbers. I found several different tallies in different reference books and websites I reviewed, but several sources say that these are the correct totals. Plymouth Belvedere. The Belvedere was a mid-level model for folks who still only needed basic transportation, but wanted some level of comfort and convenience options along with a car that was a bit more refined than the base model Savoy. Available as a two-door sedan, a four-door sedan, a two-door hardtop, or as 6 and 9 passenger wagons. These cars were also popular for fleet buyers in both the public and private sector. They had the same base engines with a 3-speed manual transmission for cars and wagons as the Savoy Series, but only one of the other V8s could be checked off on the order form. It was the 361, and according to an original sales brochure, could only be ordered for the two-door sedan and hardtop and the four-door sedan. The interior color choices were medium blue, medium red, tan, and turquoise. The sedans were of a cloth and vinyl motif, while both wagons were all vinyl. Many options could be ordered to personalize these cars for each buyer, and the station wagons had their own unique option list, just like the Savoy has. The options available were extensive and are what you'd expect for the time, like an automatic transmission, power steering and brakes, power windows, various radios, air conditioning, backup lamps, bumper guards front and rear, a remote control outside mirror, deluxe wheel covers, white wall tires, a clock, a padded dash and visors, and more. Adding these features was very reasonable in price, increasing the driving experience and upping the resale value at trade-in time. These are the production numbers for the 1964 Plymouth Belvedere. Plymouth Fury. The Fury was near the top of the food chain in the 1964 Plymouth full-size lineup. It offered a solid value for buyers looking for a car that could be optioned to their needs and wants. The Fury was available in 7 distinct body styles, all adorned with attractive chrome trim, letting the world know that the Fury was definitely a deluxe automobile. Body styles included a 4-door sedan, a 2- or a 4-door hardtop, a convertible, and both a 6 and a 9 passenger wagon. Like the Savoy and the Belvedere, standard engines for the passenger cars were the 225-6, while the wagon series had 318 two-barrel V8s between the front fenders. Both were mated to a 3-speed manual transmission. The option list for other V8s included the 361, the 383, and the 426. All these engines were called Commando and could be had with a manual 4-speed transmission equipped with a floor-mounted shifter utilizing Hurst linkage for quicker and more decisive shifts. The Fury had a massive option list, and most cars were sold well equipped. Unlike Savoy and Belvedere, the Fury could be ordered with a 6-way adjustable power seat. Interior color choices were expanded from the Belvedere, with cars having medium blue, copper, medium red, tan, or turquoise available in a slightly different cloth and fabric pattern than the other series, while the wagons were all vinyl in the same colors, except black all vinyl was also available for cars and wagons. These are the production numbers for the 1964 Plymouth Fury. You'll notice that the Fury series dominated the production run for the Plymouth full-sized cars in 1964, probably because of the number of available body styles. These cars were an incredible value for what buyers would get for their hard-earned money over buying a lesser model from Plymouth and most of the rest of the industry. Plymouth Sport Fury. The Sport Fury was the ultimate in style, image, and personal luxury. The sales catalog describes it like this: the right idea for people who want to go first class, fast, while also depicting these cars as a package of fun and fury with luxury written all over it, both inside and out. Available only as a 2-door hardtop or convertible, features like contoured twin bucket seats up front with an attractive and functional console between them, along with more stylish trim, wheel covers, and interiors, let onlookers know that this was no ordinary Plymouth. No, this one made it clear that to the owner, a car was more than a utilitarian tool to get from place to place. Only available with V8 power, the 318 was still the base engine, and buyers could also get any of the 3 Commando engines. Even though a 3 on the tree was standard, most customers opted for either the 3-speed automatic or the 4-speed manual transmission, with the gear selector integrated into the sporty console. Once the driver and passengers entered this automobile, they were greeted with an all-vinyl interior consisting of white inserts surrounded by black, medium blue, copper, medium red, or turquoise accents. As with other cars in this series, a huge option list made personalizing your Sport Fury as easy as checking off the right boxes with your sales consultant. This car was every bit as handsome as anything that Detroit was putting out at the time. Here are the production totals for the Sport Fury. Well, that wraps up our look at the B-body full-size Plymouth for 1964. For 3 brief years, Dodge and Plymouth downsized their full-size lineup with the new B-bodies. The 64 Plymouth B-body had it all. Models from bare bones to full luxury, a variety of drivetrain options, a massive option list, many beautiful exterior colors, awesome interiors of different colors and motifs, and a basic model appearance that was contemporary yet traditionally Chrysler. Many were made, so finding one today shouldn't be too difficult. Tell us in the comments if you have one, or maybe you have a memory of one of these cars. We appreciate you watching today, and see you soon.